1 CPC 25-37. Dr. Konig is present, all full counsel of record are present. The jury is back in the courtroom. Good afternoon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Garner, state's next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Dr. Whitney Carlton to stand.
Doctor, can you stand and raise your right hand, please?
You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You can have a seat.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Could you, as you testify today, keep your face as close to the microphone as possible, maybe pull it close to you as well? Right. And starting off, can you please state your name?
Whitney Carlton.
And Ms. Carlton, what do you do?
I'm an acute care surgeon.
Okay. Is that a doctor?
Yes.
And where do you practice?
I practice at Queens Medical Center.
And how long have you been an acute care surgeon at Queens?
5.5 years.
Are you licensed to practice medicine in the state of Hawaii?
Yes.
Are you board certified in any specialties?
I'm board certified in general surgery and surgical critical care.
What does it mean to be board certified in general?
It means that the physician has voluntarily completed a rigorous set of standards set forth by the board. Generally means you've done training in residency, passed a number of comprehensive exams, and have a commitment to continuing education.
And what does a board certification in general surgery mean?
It means that you've completed all of those requirements with a specialty in general surgery.
Maybe I should clarify this. What is general surgery?
General surgery is a practice focused on surgery of the entire body, but focused mostly on the chest and the abdomen.
And you mentioned a second board certification in, what was it?
Surgical critical care.
What is surgical critical care?
It is an additional year of training that focuses on patients that are critically injured or critically ill, and it allows us to practice in the ICU.
Can you describe your training in medicine generally?
I graduated from the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and then I completed a general surgery residency, and then I came to Hawaii to complete advanced training in surgical critical care. And I'm currently assistant clinical professor of surgery at the John A. Burns School of Medicine here in Hawaii, and I'm an active acute care surgeon at Queens.
How long have you been teaching students from JABSOM?
6.5 years.
Do you have any scientific publications?
I have a few.
Just approximate how many?
Maybe 2 or 3, and as well as a couple of book chapters that are in press.
At this point, Your Honor, the state would ask that pursuant to Rule 702, Dr. Carlton be qualified to provide opinion testimony in the field of medicine with a in surgery and surgical critical care.
No objection to the doctor's qualifications. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Dr. Carlton will be allowed to provide to you opinion testimony in the field of medicine with a specialty in general surgery and surgical critical care. You can proceed.
Dr. Carlton, do you agree that all your opinions that you offer today in this case will be to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
Were you on duty at Queens Punch Bowl on March 24th, 2025?
Yes, I was.
On that date, were you part of something called the trauma team?
Yes.
Okay. What is the trauma team?
The trauma team is basically all of the hospital personnel that respond to trauma activations or consults in which patients have some kind of accident or trauma that require immediate evaluation. I am the attending trauma surgeon when I'm on call for surgery or trauma surgery, so we lead the trauma team.
And saying the word trauma a lot, in the medical field, in your specialty, what does trauma mean?
Trauma is just any accident or mechanism of injury that a patient could come in with injuries.
It's also bodily impact?
Yes.
Right. What type of cases do you get called in to help with as part of the trauma team?
All kinds. So everything from like a trip and a fall to moped accidents, car accidents, assaults, gunshot wounds, stab wounds, all those kind of things.
On March 24th, 2025, did you treat somebody named Arielle Konig?
Yes, I did.
Before you treat someone, do you obtain a patient history?
Yes.
Okay. What, to you, is a patient history?
A patient history is kind of a prescriptive account of a patient's current presenting clinical symptoms, as well as an account of their medical history.
Why is it important to get a patient's history?
It's important for our differential diagnosis or a list of potential causes of what their complaint is, and it's important in order to come up with an individualized treatment plan for the patient.
Without going into what Arielle Konig may have told you, was Arielle Konig able to provide you with a history?
Yes.
We're going to jump ahead a little bit. Did you actually observe any injuries on Arielle Konig yourself?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to walk through a couple photographs. I'm going to have you describe what injuries you observed, okay?
Okay.
Okay, publishing states exhibit number 22. It's on the screen next to you, doctor. What injuries did you observe from this view, the front of Arielle's face?
So she had ecchymosis or bruising around the eyes, and then also had a small laceration around the right eyebrow.
Okay. Now, publishing states exhibit 25. What injuries are we seeing on Miss Konig in this photo?
So this is a photo of what I would call a large, complex stellate laceration of the scalp that extends onto the face, meaning it's kind of star-shaped with a lot of jagged edges. Large and complex, meaning it goes through a number of layers on the scalp.
As a surgeon, what are the difficulties in repairing this? Or are there any difficulties in repairing this kind of laceration?
There can be.
Okay, and what are those difficulties?
So in this case, and in general, I would be very concerned about the potential healing of the jagged edges. Creating those kind of skin bridges or skin strips decreases the blood supply. And so even when you suture it back together, it can have a high chance of necrosis or dying, creating a larger wound. And then there was also a really high risk of infection, just given how big the wound was and the stated mechanism.
And what was the stated mechanism?
Arielle said she was hit with a rock.
I'm going to take the States Exhibit 25 off the screen now. Were there any injuries to Arielle's extremities?
Yes, she had bruising of the left hand that turned out to be a distal phalangeal tuft fracture.
Okay. I'll jump back to that in just a moment after I ask a couple questions. Was any imaging done to Arielle?
Yes.
And did you review that imaging yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what type of imaging was it?
So we obtained a CT scan of the head, the face, and the cervical spine, and we also did an x-ray of the left hand.
And did you review the results of all this imaging yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was there any skull fracture?
No.
Any face fracture?
No.
Any fractures to any other parts of Arielle's body?
She did have the left thumb distal phalangeal tuft fracture.
Okay. And then could you explain for us what the left thumb distal phalangeal tuft fracture is?
It's basically a broken bone in the fingertip.
When you say a broken bone, was there any displacement?
It was mildly displaced.
And what does that mean?
So bones are basically in a straight line, and so when you fracture it, you end up with at least two pieces. The alignment or the displacement is how much in a line that bone stays, or if it's displaced and out of line.
And what does mildly displaced mean then with regards to the injury you observed on Arielle?
It means that the bone was a little bit out of line.
As a result of your examination, did you recommend any sort of treatment for Arielle?
Yes, I did.
And what did you recommend as the treatment?
Well, she needed the large wound on her head washed out and cleaned and then repaired. Due to the risk that we talked about, I recommended a specialty consultation with a facial surgeon who was on call. For the hand fracture, she needed treatment with a hand surgeon. And then just due to the injuries and the events, I recommended admission to the hospital.
So when you say you referred her to a separate type of surgeon, what type of surgeon did you refer her to?
It's our on-call face trauma surgeon. I believe he's an OMFS surgeon.
And what does OMFS mean?
Oral maxillofacial surgeon. They specialize in kind of we call it like a plastic surgery type surgeon.
I think you've gotten there a little bit so far, doctor, but during your treatment of Arielle, were there any risks of complications from her injuries?
Yes.
Okay. And what were
Objection,
they?
Your Honor. Can we approach?
Sure, come on up.
Okay. Dr. Carlton, did you put in your report that your encounter with Arielle Konig required a moderate level of medical decision-making?
I believe that was in the progress note, yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
That is essentially for billing practices, meaning the type of encounter required that type of billing.
And under that subsection, there was a sentence that said, this includes the moderate risk of complication and/or morbidity/mortality of patient management.
Yes.
Can you explain what that sentence meant?
That means for any kind of physician in a similar position who encountered a similar patient, what kind of risks there would be. In this case, moderate.
Okay. So moderate risks of morbidity/mortality.
Yes, treatment and morbidity and mortality.
One more question. Going backwards a little bit, Dr. Carlton. Why did you refer Arielle to a specialty face surgeon?
Just due to the complexity of the laceration and my concerns about infection and potential wound healing, I thought it would be better for the wound and for her to have the specialty surgeon on board in case of complications from the fixation.
Okay. And the fixation, just like regular stitches?
Well, it was done in a couple of layers, but regular stitches.
Understood. Did everything you testified to occur in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, doctor.
Hi.
Just a very few questions. You said you went to medical school and then did your residency and then got board certified, correct?
Yes, and board certified in general surgery.
Okay. And that took you many years to do, correct?
Yes,
A lot of hard work that went into becoming a doctor, correct?
it can be.
And becoming board certified, right?
Yes.
Just a few questions. In the charting, it indicated that the patient denied LOC. Does LOC stand for loss of consciousness?
It does.
Okay. So the patient denied loss of consciousness during the incident, yes?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned the term stellate laceration. Those kind of by their nature are complex. They're not caused by a sharp object, blunt force trauma, kind of impact, and a star shape spreads, yes?
Generally.
Okay. Now, the next day on March 25th, based on your examination and dealing with her, you cleared her for discharge from the hospital the next day, correct?
Correct.
And I'd imagine that's not something you would have done unless you believe it was safe for her to leave the hospital the very next day, correct?
Correct.
Doctor, sometimes in working in the hospital, you have to fill out, or you're asked to fill out, an HPD, Honolulu Police Department Physician's Report form, correct?
The HPD 13?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And that is the number, so it seems like you're familiar with it.
Yes.
Right? Filled it out a bunch of times, correct?
Yes.
And you try your best to be honest and accurate and unbiased as you go about filling it out, correct?
Yes.
And in this case involving Ms. Konig, you did fill out such a form, yes?
I believe so.
Would seeing your form help you refresh your memory?
Sure.
Okay. 1 second. Your Honor, may I approach with D81?
Yes.
Doctor, do me a favor, just look through that, read it to yourself, and let me know when you're done. And I just have a couple questions, and then I'll be done.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to come back and get it from you. Doctor, that is your signature on that second page, correct?
Correct.
In response to the question, did the injury cause a major avulsion, laceration, or penetration of the skin under substantial body injury? You checked yes, and that's because of the laceration on their scalp, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did the injury cause a serious concussion? You checked no to that, correct?
Correct.
Did the injury cause a tearing, rupture, or corrosive damage of the esophagus, viscera, or other internal organs? You checked no to that, correct?
Correct.
What is a viscera?
Viscera is an organ.
Okay. Under the serious bodily injury portion, did the injury create a substantial risk of death? You checked the box no, correct?
Correct.
Will the injury cause any serious permanent disfigurement? You checked the box no, correct?
Correct.
Will the injury cause a protracted loss or impairment of the function of any bodily member or organ? You checked the box no, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for your time, doctor. No further questions.
Mr. Garner, any redirect? Yes, please.
Dr. Carlton, on that HPD 13, you were just asked about, you checked a box that said the injuries did not cause a substantial risk of death. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. That comment or that opinion that you gave was about the resulting injuries that Arielle had. Is that right?
Yes, that's a retrospective look at the injuries.
Okay. That is not an opinion about any mechanism. Is that right?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we approach?
Approach.